Hey guys, my name's Walker, and welcome to WokkerAbout, where I'm gonna do some cooking today for you on the disco from iKamper. Usually when I go camping on a Friday night, for example, I get out into the woods. It's usually dark by the time I get to camp, and I want a nice easy meal to have quick so that I can get my tent set up, I can hang out, I can have a beer around the fire and chill and not have to worry about doing some grandiose thing, but still get good quality food. All right, so I've got all my ingredients here. Everything's individually packed like this. I'm gonna show you guys right now how I ended up with stuff like this, where I got it, everything about it, so take a look at that.
Before heading out, I stopped by my local Costco to pick up the Yakisoba. It's usually located all the way in the back by the butcher section in the prepared foods. I have seen that they also recently changed up the packaging to be a little less cumbersome.
What I've got here is I've got my Yakisoba from Costco. You can just throw this in the cooler if you have a cooler that fits. I don't do that because I have a Dometic 45 that really doesn't have the length space for the box here. So what I like to do is I like to use my Food Saver vacuum packer, and what I do is I individually put the different items in the separate bags so I can just drop those on the disco, which you'll see later. So I'm going to get these vacuum packed up. I'm going to just take the noodles, slap them in the bag here, just like this. Get everything all tucked up. Set the rest of it aside. I really like vacuum sealing things because it makes for so much room in my cooler. Really leaves room for a lot of extra like beers and stuff rather than wasted on containers and food stuff. And then you'll see here now I've just got like all my noodles in one little bag ready to go, all set. And I'll just do the rest of these now, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Probably took me an extra 5 minutes just to get everything done, but got everything individually sealed in bags. So I've got my yakisoba, my chicken, my sauce, my veggies. Basically takes the awkward box out of the equation. We're all set to go. I can throw this in the fridge now in the car, and we're set to go for the weekend. All right, so I've got some oil going here on the disco so I can get everything going. I've just got a bottle of vegetable oil to start with that. The first thing that goes on is the vegetables. With this, they are wet, but I did throw oil in there just so things don't burn, and it soaks it up, and it gives me more time to work on the other things. So we'll get those on right now. Perfect. Now I've got the vegetables on. What I'm going to do here is I actually use two different utensils with it. The disco's got kind of like a smaller footprint, but that doesn't make it any less useful. I like the cooking surface on it. What I do is I kind of use one spatula as a backstop, and then I use the tongs to just kind of get things flipped. So it just lets me keep everything all in one space here. With this, what you can do is you can also cut this up with a knife to make the vegetables a little bit smaller. That's what I'm going to do in this situation. The other thing with it is you can cook these to your liking. I like to make sure to get them nice and cooked so that I can have a nice soft vegetable in my yakisoba. Some people like a little crunch in it, but I like it soft but not completely drowned. All right, so I've got this little knife here. I got this on Amazon. It looks like it's a Wokker Magnum. And what I use is I just kind of have my tongs in one hand, this in the other, and I just kind of chop up the vegetables. I'm careful not to scratch the surface or drag over the surface of it, but I definitely do just push down, cut up the broccoli, because the broccoli that comes from Costco is a little bit large. So just cut it down, get it to a nice size so that it's like bite-sized pieces. It mixes up well. And then it also lets it cook on more surfaces. I'll probably cut that part out, but it. Also, if you have a cloche for this, you can throw that over the top. It kind of helps steam things up. I'm not going to today because I feel like I have the disco at the right temperature for it. So just cut it up as small as you want. Let everything cook, give it some time, and then you can just really go back to the method of having your spatula in one hand, tongs in the other, give it some flips, get it on all sides. I don't like big pieces at the bottom of the broccoli. F it.
Might want to cut that one out. But
What?
you
I'm gonna
might
beep
cut
it out.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
All right. So next thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and add the chicken. I bagged that separately. Really, the good thing about this is that it's pre-cooked and everything. So you can dump that on. It's really just about getting it warm at this point. I think Costco did a really good job with the flavors on this one. They added up some nice flavor to the chicken. And then also with the chicken, it does come in some pretty big chunks as well. It kind of bunched up in the packaging, but at the same time, the chunks are still pretty big. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those down with a knife as well. This would be the perfect time to crack a beer. We should be about like 5 to 10 minutes out at this point. I'm gonna nurse this big boy. Ugh, throw some on for flavor. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. All right, so just gonna get things mixed up here. So all the chicken, it's really, we're not, like I said earlier, we're not cooking it. We're just kind of getting it warmed up, integrated with the vegetables on this. Bring out some of the flavors in it. All right, so at this point, I've got everything kind of sized down. It's still heating. There's one more step, which is adding the noodles and the sauce at the same time. So there's still going to be time for the chicken to heat and the vegetables to heat during that. We're getting close, though, because you can see that it's already come down in size. It is cold out here. All right, so I got my noodles cut open here. What I'm going to do is I usually just take these out. They're pretty bricked up from the vacuum sealer, but I'm just going to go ahead and break these over the top. This is where the disco starts to get really full, so definitely the tong and spatula method comes into play here. So I got these all broken up, and then I'm going to take my sauce pack here, get everything down. With this one, I like to try and just cut off a corner. That way I can just juice it on like this. Squeegee it down through the pack, get every last little bit. All right, and then here comes the fun part. So with this, you really just got to start to toss it up. Give it the old heave-ho. Really start to mix it in. The noodles definitely start to loosen up once you get some heat to them. Everything's starting to mix up. Sometimes you lose some off the side. I'd say if you're like me, this meal is probably going to feed 2 to 3. Usually if we need to, though, and we've had a couple beers, we can put down a whole thing of yakisoba with 2 people. Make sure you get the noodles nice and coated all the way around. So I just kind of keep tossing stuff like this. You can tell when they're fully coated because the noodles don't look as yellow anymore. They kind of look more of like a saucy brown. Just keep pushing everything back towards the center. All right, so since starting this, it's been about 15 minutes from pulling the packets out, getting everything set up to when I'm going to put this on a plate. Honestly, this is one of the fastest meals. You can also be doing other things while you're finishing cooking this. This isn't a meal where you have to be hovering over the disco and focusing in. You can get the vegetables on, walk away, set up your tent, pull out your awning, do whatever you have to do, set up your camp chair, get the fire going, and then come back to it and do the next part of things. Since everything's pre-cooked, really it's just warming everything back up and getting it in the right order. So I'm just about heated up on this. I'm gonna give you a zoom in shot on it, let you see how it looks like close up. I'm gonna plate it and then we're gonna be good to go. All right, so this is basically what it looks like when it's fully cooked up and everything. You can see the noodles are completely sauced, no dry spots on it and everything. So at this point, we don't do anything fancy. We're at camp here. It's gonna be a beer and yakisoba kind of night. So just fill it up. Make sure you get some of the vegetables in there. I always throw that on top, make it look a little bit nicer. Plenty of chicken.
And that's a good filling portion right there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sit down, eat this yakisoba, hopefully get my tent set up before I drink a couple more beers, and I will see you guys next time.